Today's guests are in to talk about the influence that music has on our modern, busy day lives. Uma and Zeljko Pavlovic of the Vivaldi Music Academy are sitting here in the studio with us, and we are so happy to have you. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank
Welcome.
you.
Good morning.
Thanks for getting up early. Now, in the classical music world, does it match up with the rest of the musical world where you don't expect people involved in music to be up early because you've been out late, you've been playing at night, and maybe you've stayed up after a gig, and most musicians we know are not awake this early, so we have to really rouse them to get them.
You know, all of that changes when you have two little children.
Exactly.
No truer words have ever been spoken. I'm absolutely sure of that. So tell us about the Vivaldi Academy.
Sure. You know, we opened this academy 2 years ago, and it's been an amazing ride so far. As I said, we have two little children, and when our son was of the age when I started kind of thinking of music lessons, I did my research, and I really was not happy with what I'm seeing. And I really wanted to, and I realized that Houston is lacking in music education. And I really wanted to open academy, and I talked to my wife, and I kind of just one day said, you know what, I think we need to open one.
And I said, wow, that's a really brilliant idea.
Well, it is a brilliant idea. It truly is.
So, you know, after that point, it took us 2 years to kind of finalize everything and to open our doors. And it's been really amazing since then.
We really felt that, you know, music education is so important, just like math, just like science for our children.
Totally agree.
And, you know, it's a part of their well-rounded education and development. And we really felt like we wanted a school where children can come, and even adults, you know, if they wanted to pursue their music interests at a later point in life, you know, sometimes we have to put things on hold and come back to things, that this would be a wonderful environment where they have teachers and students and events and things that make music education exciting for them, that they want to come to school, they enjoy their lessons, they enjoy their teachers. So we really strive to make that type of environment where it's an exciting thing, an exciting part of their week, and they look forward to that. And that's the way we
I like that. I like the fact that you want to have that communal feel as part of the process and the exploration of music, because so often, you know, it's only just one little teacher, one small room, cubicle, the kid goes home and doesn't practice and then comes back and wonders why they're not making any kind of things.
Exactly. And you know, it used to really hurt me to see these lessons taught as a afterthought, like for example in the back of the guitar store. You know, and I was I thought that we can I really thought that we could do a little bit better than that, and really I think we've been able to accomplish that community where it's really possible to hear at the same time, you know, flute lessons going on and piano lessons going on, and violin and cello, and that's really so great for kids because they're exposed to all these different instruments at the same time.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So what is your actual background?
I'm a violinist. So I started playing when I was 3 years old, actually. I used it as a toy. And
so you were late coming to it?
Yes, I started late. It took me 3 years.
And that was probably just to decide which instrument. I understand.
But I'm coming from a family of musicians, both sides. You know, everybody is a musician in my family, and it goes back many, many years. So, and then, you know, I studied in Europe, and I played Houston is such an incredible city. It's an exciting city for a musician to be in. I performed a lot with Houston Symphony. I played with Houston Opera for one season, and I mean the experiences that you can have in Houston as a musician are incredible.
It's very good for classical musicians, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It really is. And what about you, Uma?
Oh, I'm a physician at MD Anderson, so totally not related to music, but I enjoy music. And
Completely related to music, if you ask me.
so, I mean, I had piano lessons when I was younger, but I feel like what we've created and I love my piano teacher, but it's gone well beyond that, and I always think, well, if I had a school like this when I was a kid, I may have gone farther with it. And,
That's wonderful.
you know, so and I think most of the parents enjoy coming to the academy. We have a very community feel. You know, all of our staff and our faculty are very warm and welcoming, and they just enjoy being there, you know.
So, tell me how you operate. Do you just have single lessons? Do you have group lessons? What goes on at Vivaldi?
So, yeah, mostly our lessons are one-on-one, and so they're one-on-one with the teacher. And we also do have a group lessons. We actually start early childhood music education program, and we have little babies. They're like, 3, 4, 5, and 6 months old, and that goes until they are ready for private lessons. So we prepare them for private lessons with that early childhood music program. So when they turn 4 or 5, we start them on one-on-one lessons, and they pick the instrument of their choice. And it's usually, violin or piano. We have few cello students that are tiny. They're 4 years old. And it's so cute. Yeah.
So talk to me about why it is the Vivaldi Music Academy and not the Pavlovic.
People do call him
Music
Mr.
Academy.
Vivaldi a lot.
I'd wear that with pride. I'd wear it with pride.
Like, are you Mr. Vivaldi? No.
Yeah, but most of the times I do not correct them. I just say yes.
A good choice, I'd say.
So one of the reasons, and this was totally Zeljko's idea, was Vivaldi was a Venetian composer, and he actually was the concertmaster or of an orphanage, and he taught violin lessons. And one of his major calls in life was to help the orphans form a choir and a string ensemble, and they were actually very well renowned through Europe at the time. So we patterned our name. Well, Zeljko thought of this name that it was very fitting, since Vivaldi had worked with children and was a music educator, that this would be a fitting name for the academy.
Yes, it was all girls orchestra that he formed, and all girls were orphans. So it was
very progressive for the time.
Yes. So I thought it's a really fitting name, and Vivaldi is one of my favorite composers. My first, I should say, like a major concerto was by Vivaldi, and I played it when I was, usually children play it when I was 6, 7, or 8 years old, something like that. So.
Well, so are you teaching children sight reading? Are you using ear techniques? What are you actually doing?
No, absolutely. So teachers incorporate the music theory in their lesson, in their private instrument lesson. So they do teach them. They teach them how to read music. They teach them how to music history. But not only that, we teach all genres. So for example, we will have a teenager that just wants to come and rock out, and that's fine too. Our teachers really do teach all genres, and we encourage kids to explore different genres, not just classical, not just rock, or.
And there's a lot of them to learn, especially with theory now. I mean, that's kind of a tough row to hoe for some people.
Yes, it is. When I was little, I grew up having a whole hour of weekly theory classes, and it was really intimidating, and I was super bored.
Yeah.
So, and I could not wait for that class.
You can hear it in my voice.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
I thought we really needed to do something different. So we incorporated during their one-on-one private lesson. And I think our teachers are amazing. We're so fortunate to have such a great team, and they make it really fun and relevant as well.
Well, how many do you actually have on staff there at Vivaldi?
Right now we have 40 faculty members.
That
Wow.
is huge.
Yes, it is.
I mean, that's university style.
Yes, we right now we have close to 800 students.
Wow.
We are opening the second location this week, actually.
Where is the first location?
Our first location is in West University area, and the second location is just down the road. It's less than 2 miles away. And the reason for that is that there was such an incredible response from our community that we had. At some point, we had 300 or some students on a wait list.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you need a second location.
So we really needed to solve that problem and accommodate, our community. Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, I'm fascinated by this. How long are the classes? What can people expect?
Yeah, so the classes are usually 30 minutes long. For somebody, let's say, a teenager who's been playing for quite a few years, we do 1 hour lessons, but mostly for little ones and for beginners, 30-minute lessons, and they're one-on-one. And they will come once a week. And, as I like to say, that 30 minutes, those are the directions, and then you have to get in your car and get there.
Yeah, that's
home.
right.
So, our kids do practice. I mean, it's incredible. We just had a recital where we had 300 kids perform.
Oh, my.
And it's incredible to see little 4, 5, and 6, and these kids go on stage and sit down and perform a little 15-second song.
Aww.
And that's such a joy for me to see that, and to get to see them backstage, work through their nerves and the challenges and their fear, and then to just see them walk on stage and play through, and to see their face afterwards. I mean, it's really incredible.
It's
I
awesome.
love it's awesome. Yeah.
Well, okay, so 2 questions. Number 1, how do you talk a child through stage fright?
That's it just depends. It works differently for every child.
Every child is different. Yeah.
Every child is different. I know at this recital our son performed, and he told me, Daddy, I'm nervous. So I was like, do you really know what nervous is? He goes, no.
He's 6.
I like that.
So I said, okay, well, let's just go on stage and have fun. And we were really having fun, actually. We were giggling on stage. And
So sometimes we let, and our staff was really good at this, when they were helping with the recital, they might let the kids who have done it before go first, so that the ones who haven't done it can kind of see. And, we kind of chat them up, and they talk to them and make jokes and make them feel comfortable, as much as possible. And, and sometimes they'll even walk out with them, on stage, so that and then kind of let them go. But they do fine. It's funny. Like, they say they're all nervous, and then they get up there and they're like, wow, it's, they do just fine.
Times and times again, I hear right after they finish their performance, they're like, when is the next one?
Yeah. Can I do it again?
Yeah, they really like it.
You see that big old spotlight, and all of a sudden it's all over. Let me ask you another question, if I can, Zeljko, and that is basically, how do you evaluate the student to know when it's time to move on to another, to another course level or more expertise?
Well, teachers are really good at setting a long-term goal. We always ask them right off the bat. And that's a difference from when I was a kid studying music. There was this. We did not have that kind of flexibility. It was expected, or was okay. You're going to play this, you're going to play this, and you're going to do this. And if you don't like it, that's too bad.
Yeah.
So it was really rigid, and I wanted to create that. That back and forth with the student, I really want the kids to play what they like, but I also want that to be very helpful to them. So there has to be a balance where the teacher is really flexible. For example, if somebody wants to learn a particular pop song, well, why not? But we can also learn the pop song and play scales as well.
Yeah, right. Well, come on, nobody wants to play scales.
But if the scales are going to help
scales
you,
exciting.
if I tell you that if you learn this scale, you're going to play this song better.
That's the building block.
I see a carrot in my future. I truly do. Well, that's a good question. What is your success rate, and how would you define success?
Well, I think
I think it's in the enthusiasm.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to measure. It's something that we feel on a daily basis when we see people excited, they were thrilled with the recital, and we see the joy and we see the happiness. I mean, that for us is a success.
Yes.
And to see and to interest, to develop and cultivate that interest that so many people really want quality music education, and they're coming to us, that's our success. I mean, I think we feel that we've
Absolutely.
accomplished something.
Although it is kind of obvious that if you've only been in business for 2 years, you have over 800 students, 40 teachers, and you're opening a second facility, I guess you are a success. But, I mean, that's just...
Well, there's certainly a demand there.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just ask a question about a cap in the development of a student. Say... all right, you've got 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, you know, and they're playing the violin, they're learning scales on a piano or whatever, and at what point do you kick them out of the nest, so to speak? Or at what point does someone have developed their brain and to the point where they can't really absorb new information anymore? I'm thinking in terms of... learning languages. Music is a language, you know, as much as the spoken word. And brain research has shown that, you know, the brain is pliant and it's growing, and at a certain point it's kind of not full because we're barely tapping the possibilities in our own brains, but that there's a plasticity to it and an openness, that children are just like sponges, you know, and at a certain point you become someone like me who maybe was taught piano as a kid, but life's circumstances have stopped that process, and now the left and the right hand don't even know each other anymore, and it's almost like a language that's been forgotten. They say that, you know, you can ride a bike, you know, once you learn you can get back on the bike and ride it again. I know this is a really rambling, long question, but I mean, so for someone who's not a kid, but was a kid and loved music as a kid and then maybe fell away from it, are there any adults in these hundreds and hundreds of people who come to you?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, I think around 20% of our students are adults. And so, and within those, within the adult community at our music academy, we have complete beginners, and we have somebody who, like you said, you know, played when you were little, left it, and then picked it up back again. And I think that's another thing. I think to see these adults actually start playing again, it's really incredible. It's such a satisfactory thing to see.
Yeah.
They do so well, and I think it helps with, as you said, you know, as we age, you know, the dexterity of our hands is not that great. So I think playing piano, for example, it helps a lot.
Well, there's, you know, recent research that, and you were touching on plasticity, that music and going back to music at a later age helps to stem off Alzheimer's and, you know, other aging-related conditions. So I think, you know, it helps to keep the mind active and the brain active. So at any age, music is an important part and should be an important part of anyone's life, no matter what stage. If they're young and their brain is really plastic and can absorb everything, or, you know, we're at the later stages of life where we need to keep the neurons flowing, and, you know, it's great for any stage of life.
Thank you, Uma. I'm hopeful then.
There's hope for all of us.
Uma and Zeljko Pavlovic in from the Vivaldi Music Academy here. You're tuned to the Open Journal, 14 minutes in front of the hour of 9 o'clock. We're going to step outside the cube briefly and let Patrick tell us what's happened on the roadways. You can look up at the sky and you know what's happening there. It's a beautiful day. We'll be back in a minute. Stay with us, please.
Well, the roadways are starting to clear out pretty well from what we can tell inside this almost windowless room, but via Houston TransStar there's reported a Sam Houston tollway accident clockwise at the Hardy Toll Road, said to be in the right lane. 288 outbound at McGregor, they also reported a crash in the right lane there as well. Everybody is okay in all of their travels this morning. Pleasant 65 degrees out of doors this afternoon. Much the same the next few days. Next best guess of moisture is for Thursday night, but then that's never anything like a promise. The Earth's spin moves us at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, but here in Houston we're moving closer to 900 miles per hour as we race towards the setting of the sunshine at 5:41 p.m. this evening, followed by the inevitable exposure to the cold of space overnight. Sunrise to come, also inevitably tomorrow at 7:18 a.m., then that some microseconds earlier than it was today, so sunrise is actually coming earlier, the darkness beginning to recede. Today will be 10 hours and 22 minutes long. Tomorrow will be 53 seconds longer. And with all those fun facts, we now continue with KPFT's morning show Open Journal with host Dwayne Bradley and Marlo Blue.
All right, thank you, Patrick. We're now 12 in front of 9. You're tuned to the Mighty 90. KPFT in Houston, listener-sponsored and commercial-free, independent, community-based, a true local public radio station right here in the heart of Houston, broadcasting from our 100-year-old front porch on this little old house on Lovett Boulevard in the Montrose. Thanks for joining us here on the Open Journal today. I'm Dwayne Bradley.
And I'm Marlo Blue, and we are here with Uma and Zeljko Pavlovic. So glad that you guys are here. Thank you so much. All right. You guys wouldn't let me talk about it during the break, so I'm going to ask. I mean, you know, not only do you have a school where people are learning music, you're taking these children and I guess some adults to some fabulous places. Like, you had a concert at Carnegie
Hall in New York, that's correct.
Unbelievable. How did that happen?
Well, you know, I thought I played there as a violinist with Houston Symphony twice, and I thought every time I played there it was an incredible experience, and I've of course never forgot it, and I thought that it would be amazing to take some of our faculty and our students there, and I started working on it.
Wow.
And you know, that concert was incredible because we were able to take all levels. You know, this was not just for the prodigies, or this was for everybody. We had kids and students, and we had adults, and we had adults that just started playing for the first time, maybe 6-7 months before the concert.
Wow.
So I wanted to create that opportunity for all of our students, whether they're beginners or whether they played for quite a few years.
Well, I mean, that's just fascinating, and you're not stopping there. I mean, now that's a huge milestone, but I hear that you've got great plans for further travel in the summer of 2016. What are they?
So we are actually going to Venice, Italy, and we had talked about Vivaldi earlier.
Taking Vivaldi back home.
Right, we are returning to the roots. So we're actually going to play in the church where Vivaldi was the director, as we had talked about earlier. And that orphanage that we had touched on earlier is still in existence today. So proceeds from the concert will go directly to benefit the orphanage.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
That's
we are
amazing.
super excited. I mean, I think this is an incredible opportunity for our students and faculty, and it's going to be a great experience to go to Venice and to see, you know, where our namesake performed and composed. And I mean, of course, and it's Venice. It's beautiful.
Right? Well, and for those who can't make it to Venice, do you have yearly recitals?
We do.
Seasonal recitals?
We have 2 recitals per year.
Do you work on a school system basis type, or?
Usually our recitals are in December, January, and then in June, early June. So we, it just depends on what's available, but we definitely have 2 recital opportunities per year so that everyone has a chance to perform. You know, if they started after December, they can still make it to the summer recital, so everyone has a chance to perform.
Well, that's just wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful.
How can people find you, and what is your web presence? Is it just Google Vivaldi Music Academy and
That's correct, yes. That's right. I think we are going to show up.
Somebody's found you, that's for sure.
Yes.
We have also a yearly, it's become a tradition now for the past 2 years.
Aw.
We have yearly faculty recitals.
Ah, nice.
I mean, I thought that we have so much talent at
Yeah.
Vivaldi, and our faculty are so incredible because Houston is an amazing city for musicians, and we have a lot of great musicians, and a lot of those great musicians are teaching at Vivaldi, and I thought, what a wonderful opportunity to get them all in one place and collaborate and play music together these events, the faculty concerts are free of charge, so it's open to everybody, and students come and they see their teachers perform. I mean, how
must be
wonderful is
great,
that?
right?
Yes. And also, it's such a rare opportunity to come to one recital or concert and hear these different instruments and different genres of music performed right after another. So we have our faculty recital January 30th at Match in Midtown.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Yes.
Match is going to be the place this particular season.
It seems like it.
It really
From now on.
does.
Yeah.
Yes, our next faculty recital and our kids recitals are going to be there as well.
I want to take a second and go. We got a question from one of our listeners, from Andy, and Andy wants to know, why don't music schools try to take the music to the people, like malls or other public places?
I would say that our mission is to try to get the people out of the malls and into the concert halls and into the music academies.
Did you hear that, Andy? Just saying. Well, that's just wonderful. Can you tell us a little bit about some of your instructors? Are they, it's a completely different world being a classical musician and classically trained versus some of our pop musicians. I mean, they live different lives.
Different lives,
They truly
yes.
do.
Different backgrounds and,
Yeah.
and it's different training and different, well, a lot of our musicians and teachers are coming from Rice University.
Mm-hmm.
They're, finishing up their masters, or they're working on their doctorate degrees, or they're finished with their doctorate degrees. And all of us, every musician that's trained has taught at some point. But the difference is, we really wanted to get people on board that love teaching, and there's this the satisfaction that comes from that's incredible. So our guys just love being in a room and teaching. That's what they love doing, and that's their goal.
That's a rare thing. That's a very rare thing. Well, how about giving us your website again? It's Vivaldi.
Yes, it's VivaldiMusicAcademy.com.
VivaldiMusicAcademy.com. Even I can remember that.
And January 30th
Even I
at the
can
Match,
remember
which
that.
is the new Midtown Arts and Theater Center of Houston, right there on
Ooh, well
what's
done.
called Mid-Main.
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Uma, Zeljko, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
And congratulations on your future successes and the success that you have already done.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much.
Absolutely. Can't wait to hear more of these young kids
Indeed.
interested in music. It's just fabulous. Well, we are out of time on today's Open Journal, but we want to know what you think about this morning's program. Find us at KPFT on Twitter and KPFT Houston on Facebook. I'm Marlo Blue. If you would like to find guest information or links to anything on today's program, you can find it now at kpft.org. There you can also see our full program grid. A special thanks to Hedy Van Bakel, Christy Moffat, and our engineer Patrick for their efforts on today's show. On Wednesday's Open Journal, we're going to be joined in the studio by Women's Home Executive Director Paula Paust and Development Manager Chow Nugent.
Fantastic, and we look forward to that. Thank you for joining us here today. The program will be archived at the top of the hour. You can download it, listen back to it, share it with your friends. You can go to the kpft.org site for access to our archived programming, calendars of events, contact information, access to the multiplicity of streaming options to all of the KPFT source material, And also, there's a donation button up on the top right corner, too, and we'd love for you to visit that as well, safe and secure. Hey, up next at 9 o'clock, it's From the Vault, where we dip into the virtual Smithsonian of sound that is the Pacifica Radio Archives. That follows the Bird Note, which concludes each and every Open Journal hour here Monday through Friday from 8 to 9. From the Vault today, the Pacifica Radio Archives are serving up a presentation of a reading by the philosophical erotic author Anais Nin, recorded back in 1966, just before the release of her self-named feminist masterpiece, The Diary of Anais Nin. And with that said, we thank you again, and we leave you on this day with a thought that comes from Victor Hugo, who said, "Music expresses that which cannot be said, and on which it is impossible to be silent." Take care of each other.
You have been listening to Open Journal, KPFT's experiment in community-inspired radio. Every weekday, KPFT hosts interviews, music, and culture to inform, enlighten, and illuminate your day. Our programming is made possible by people like you. KPFT depends on listener donations to stay on the air. Please make a tax-deductible contribution, day or night, for independent radio at kpft.org. We welcome ideas for topics and guests, and comments about today's program. Visit kpft.org to share your thoughts, or find us on Twitter and on Facebook at KPFT Houston. Please stay tuned for more great programming next hour and the rest of the day. Find our complete program schedule and membership information at kpft.org. And thank you for listening to commercial-free, listener-sponsored 90.1.
This is Bird Note. What does relocating Caspian terns from an island in the Columbia River have to do with luring short-tailed albatrosses away from an active volcano in Japan? They both use methods of social attraction pioneered by Dr. Stephen Kress of Audubon's Project Puffin. Social attraction involves using visual cues, such as decoys, and audio recordings of bird calls. Using these, scientists can entice bird colonies out of harm's way. And as Kress and his team did with puffins on the coast of Maine, new colonies can be established in places where they've not been seen for years. Dr. Kress explains.
The applications have been remarkably diverse. Everything from saving endangered salmon to oil spills to ocean level rise to avoiding volcanic eruptions and egg poachers. Very different applications, but the principle is the same. Colonial birds are unlikely to pioneer new colonies by themselves. It does happen, but it's more likely to happen if you can jumpstart the process with decoys and audio recordings. All of this started with the idea that wouldn't it be great if we could reassemble a lost seabird colony? There's a momentum going now, moving seabird chicks and attracting them with decoys and sound recordings, at least 47 species.